that they call Peter, Simon Peter, is none other than Simon Magus, the demon-possessed magician. That organization, as individuals passed off it, each one possessed, they began to spread throughout this world and established schools. The greatest Gnostic school was in Alexandria, Egypt. It was in that school that the Jews had apostatized, and now Christians, or these men claiming to be Christians. Simon claimed that he was Christ and had been crucified. But many of the leading families, the oligarchical families of Greece, were Gnostics. This is the Gnostic symbol on a family ring. Another family seal with the god of Brax. It's a Gnostic god. And this is the number 666 in Gnostic symbolism with a serpent and a tail in its mouth. In 1945, they found in Nag Hammadi, Egypt, books written by Gnostics which indicated that the foundation of modern Roman Catholicism and evangelical theology, and I don't believe they have any right to that name, because every one of their doctrines is to be found in those Gnostic books. They passed their teachings on through initiation. They could not be persecuted like the true Christians because they believed that they could lie. Indeed, one Gnostic society believed you had to break every one of the moral laws of the evil god of the Jews before you could be saved. One group was called the Simonians, and they or the Sodalites, and they believed you had to live in an indecent lifestyle in order to be saved. One group believed no women could be saved, so they had an initiation for women, making them men so they could be saved. Spiritually, of course. But these are basically the areas that Gnosticism had damaged the church with. These brilliant intellectuals thought they were so bright, gathering teachings from all the pagan religions around them, felt that everything in religion was an allegory of one secret doctrine. And so they allegorized the Bible away in their theological classes. They believed that only the pneumatic or the spiritual entity of man was redeemable, and thus they separated the concepts of justification and sanctification and put more weight upon the area of the work they would call justification. The end, of course, was simple. Gnostics did not believe that you had to obey in order to be redeemed. They de-emphasized the concept of prophecy and their place in prophecy in favor of the experience that they should have. And they brought in the speaking in tongues and supernatural revelation among every individual so that the apostles' teachings were no longer valid. They minimized the idea of disobedience against God in their search for salvation. They minimized the idea of miracles, teaching that every man, through certain mechanical, mental exercises, can perform the miracles of Christ. And they de-emphasized the concept of evil spirits. Their theology became a system of philosophy, comparing all the religions together. And the cardinal doctrine was that Jesus could not have been human flesh. No, he was only light. He had to be pure light. They borrowed this from the Mithraists, who became the they became the state religion for 200 years in Rome, and they worshiped pure light, and the Gnostics picked that up. They taught that if Jesus had come into human flesh, he would have then been sin, therefore he could not have obeyed the law, and couldn't have been the one to teach us how to escape the flesh. And this gave birth through a Gnostic by the name of Augustine to the concept of the Immaculate Conception of Mary, which gave birth to the concept that Christ, through a miracle of birth, escaped the hereditary weaknesses and degeneration of our race. And John called this the spirit of the Antichrist, which he says was already in the world. The doctrine of Christ, our righteousness, can only be found clearly when we understand the nature of sin and the true nature of Jesus Christ. When Constantine came in, he had come from the extreme western area of the Roman Empire, and there at the Milvian Bridge conquered the Maxentius, and he said he was conquering in the sign of a cross. But it wasn't the cross that Christ died on. It was that cross that the Christians had first adopted in Alexandria, Egypt, the Crux and Santa. It was the symbol of sexual union. Here's a picture of something that the church teaches happened at the time of Constantine, called the donation of Constantine, when he gave a symbol of the political authority to the Pope. It never happened. Documents were forged in the 9th century. And once the fraud had been revealed, the church would not relinquish the lands that she claimed. And even today, much of her holdings is a result of lies, deception, and cheating. She claims that she took the place of the pagan government. This is another picture I took in the Vatican. It shows Jesus on the the base of the statue, you see, now it's fallen down there. But Christianity never took the place of the Roman government. In order to attach to Christianity great attraction in the eyes of the nobilities, the priests adopted the outer garments and adornments which were used in pagan cults. Life of Constantine by Eusebius. These garments you see the priests wearing are from the pagan cults. They're pagan clothing. The church did everything she could to stamp out such pagan rites, but had to capitulate and allow the rites to continue with only the name of the local deity changed to some Christian saint's name. They're deities. The saints of Catholicism are pagan gods that these people, thinking they're worshiping God, are bowing down to. Confiding then in the power of Christianity to resist the infection of evil and to transmute the instruments and appendages of demon worship to an evangelical use, the rulers of the church from early times were prepared should occasion arise to adopt or imitate or sanction the existing rites and customs of the populace. From the foregoing, which treats merely of the more important solar festivals, it is clear that those products of paganism are as much in force at present as they ever were, and that Christianity countenances, and in many cases has actually adopted and practiced pagan rites whose heathen significance is merely lost sight of because attention is not called to the source whence these rites have sprung. So heavy was this infiltration that Sir Samuel Dill exclaimed, Christianity is only a sect of the Mithra religion. Roman society from Nero to Marcus Aurelius. Mithra worship was a continuation of the Babylonian mysteries. It was produced when Zoroaster realized that the people needed the teaching of a Messiah, a being between God and man that could bring the light of truth. And so astrology was compromised with Judaism, and now it became paganized Christianity. In short, sun worship, symbolically speaking, lies at the very heart of the great festivals which the Christian church celebrates today. And these relics of heathen religion have, through the medium of their sacred rites, curiously enough, blended with practices and beliefs utterly antagonistic to the spirit which prompted them. When you look at the symbols in the Roman Catholic churches today, you're looking at what were the gods of the pagans before, and Satan stays with his symbols. Yet the cross itself is the oldest of the sexual symbols. And the lozenge-shaped windows of the cathedrals are proof that the female sexual symbolism has survived the destruction of the pagan mysteries. The very structure of the church itself is permeated with sexual symbolism. Remove from the Christian church all emblems of sexual origin, and nothing is left. And this man knows what he's talking about. He's a world-renowned scholar on this. When you walk into a Roman Catholic church, and some of ours, brethren, you're walking into a porno studio, and God remembers all time at one time. And Satan knows what he's doing. When we look at these things in the church, we should be discussing with ourselves. When the zealots of the primitive Christian church sought to Christianize paganism, the pagan initiates retorted with a powerful effort to paganize Christianity. The Christians failed, but the pagans succeeded. With the decline of paganism, the initiated pagan hierophants transferred the base of their operations to the new vehicle of primitive Christianity, adopting the symbols of the new cult to conceal those eternal verities. Christianity became the home of the pagan priests.